Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Peace be upon you all, and welcome to a new episode of Islam and Natural Philosophy with Dr. Basil Al-Ta'i himself. And first, we start with Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Basil. How are you doing today?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. I am
Alhamdulillah.
good, doing well.
Alhamdulillah. So first, I would like to remind you all that this has been a series, and if you have been missing some of the episodes, you can actually check it out all in the playlist. And this is our sixth encounter, where in the previous episodes we have had a brief about what is kalam, what is daqiq al-kalam, its history, what are the principles of daqiq al-kalam, which is the foundation of Islamic natural philosophy, and we went into some of the principles. And today we have our appointment with the principle of recreation, which looks like an interesting name. So I will leave now Dr. Basil to explain to us what is recreation and what can be its impact on the modern thought regarding the nature of reality itself. So Dr. Basil, you have the stage.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. Recreation is one of the very important principles of Daqiq al-Kalam, that is the Islamic natural approach, Islamic approach to natural philosophy. This principle is very, very important for many reasons, which I will explain. But first of all, let us state the principle. It says it says that the properties of things changes continually in a very fast mood, in a very fast frequency. But how can this happen? You remember I told you when I talked about atomism that the smallest indivisible part of things, which is called the juzu or the atom, is composed of two components.
Mm-hmm.
The essence, jawhar, and the transient, arad.
Yeah.
The transient, by the way, is called sometimes accident, but I prefer not to call it accident. It is transient, because the term accident in the Greek philosophy has different implications and different meaning. Also, for the jawhar, I call it essence. I don't call it substance, because the jawhar is not substance at all. It is actually an abstract entity which takes its meaning, its ontological presence, ontological entity when acquiring a transient, at least one transient.
Yes. Is it true that we say that even substance in our modern definition of material is a arad itself, right?
The substance is not actually the things. We say things.
The material things, I mean, yeah.
Not only material, it applies even to energy, for example, yes. It is under continuous change. Which part? The arad. But because the jawhar, the essence, would not exist unless arad exists, unless the transient exists. Therefore, changing the arad or recreating, so to speak, the arad would imply recreating the substance or the jawhar.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah, that's the interesting part of this principle. The mutakallimin assume that this means then, as I said, that things in general, whatever it is, small, large, are under continuous change, continuous recreation. The recreation period is very, very small because the arad changes very, very quickly. It's a transient. That's why it's called the transient. It vanishes once it exists.
Okay.
العرض, they say, لا يبقى زمانين أو آنين. زمانين أو آنين means two successive times, instance of time. An instance of time is a very, very small period of time.
All right. All right.
With
So
this,
in this case, they see the time as like discrete chunks.
exactly.
Mm,
Naturally,
mm, mm,
the time will be quantized in this view.
mm,
Naturally, you don't need to make any quantization. It is already
mm.
part of the play,
Of the idea.
so
Yeah.
to speak. With this principle, Mutakallimun could explain the divine intervention in the world
Hmm.
and expose the sustainment of the world by Almighty God, Allah.
Yeah. Subhanallah. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the what we will show also. But
Hmm.
what was the motivations for such a principle? Why
Yeah.
the why the Mutakallimun invoked such a principle in their system of knowledge and their theory and worldview? In
Mhm.
fact, the principle is based on two or motivated by two reasons. One, the religious one, the religious motivation, which is to explain the sustainment of the world and the God intervention in the world. The second is the rational motivation, which says that things are muhdath, that
Hmm.
things are created, and this will explain the change actually. So the rational reason is concerned with the reason or explaining why things change, why there is a change at all. And they can only say that the transient is changing. Consequently, the essence which is attached with the transient is also changing.
Will change. Yeah.
Therefore, to understand the change in the world, you have to look at it discreetly and and define some entity. This entity, which is discrete, is the Arab. It is the time also, because the Arab is also attached to the time.
Amazing.
Uh,
And Dr. Basil, how did they infer this? How did they arrive to this conclusion from the foundations of Quranic scripture?
from the Quran, it says in the Quran, Allah يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده.
No.
God creates or initiates the creation and repeats it continually in several places, in many places.
Yes.
That this renewal of the world is under the auspices of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah. Subhanallah.
Yeah,
Is it also related to the Al-Qayyum? Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-Hayyul
exactly.
Qayyum
Yeah,
also?
that's what I meant by sustainment. I already said
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
the sustainment is a qayyum. According
Right.
to the Islamic belief, and this is the religious reason or motivation for the recreation, is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is qayyum, means sustaining the universe. ما تسقط من ورقة ولا يعني أي
إلا
anything
يعلمها ولا
إلا
حبة في
يعلمها
ظلمات
الله
الأرض ولا رطب ولا يابس إلا
ولا
في كتاب
راتب
مبين.
ولا
Yeah.
يابس etc.
No.
Many things which take place when it changes in the world cannot take such such a change unless there is a creator or recreator, some agency which is making the change, simply because things by nature cannot do a change. They can
Yeah.
acquire certain properties, but they cannot do. For example, the fire burns cotton, as I always bring this example.
Hmm.
But fire itself can acquire the burning property, but cannot activate such a property. Such a property need to be activated.
Yeah.
Who will activate the property? They say it is Allah. That is the belief of Muslims. But it is good apart from this. If you are not a Muslim, if you are not a believer, anyway, you also have to ask yourself why there is a change at all
Yeah.
in the world. If
Why
I
not
paint,
everything just stays?
if I paint something today, why it changes over the time? The color, it's changing slowly, very, very slowly. But Mutakallimun thought that this change cannot be activated naturally only because nature in itself, innate nature, has no ability to act. This is the bare principle of their understanding of nature. Nature can acquire properties, acquire color, acquire smell, acquire charge, acquire mass, etc. But these things cannot effect a change.
Yeah.
To effect a change, there must be a law, and the law has to be driven. This is also an argument.
Yes.
And that's why Stephen Hawking was saying, I wonder who is putting the fire in the equations. Well, indeed, you can write an equation how fire burns cotton.
Yeah.
But then this equation will not burn the cotton.
Yes. Yes.
The
What
equation itself, no matter
what makes the law existing in the first place, and what makes it effective in the
what
the
makes
second place?
effective, not existing only,
Yeah.
effective.
Yeah.
Two things actually. Existing according to certain algorithm, because every law has algorithm.
Yeah.
خوارزمية in Arabic, which
Yes.
is the word algorithm is originally Arabic, by the way.
Yeah.
Derived from Al-Khwarizmi,
Yes.
who invented algebra. But then you have to understand that the law itself is only an algorithm. It doesn't move. Yeah. Needs. That's why when I asked Stephen Hawking in 1977, and I said, do you believe, Professor Hawking, that behind all these equations we are writing on the blackboards every day in this conference, it was a big conference actually in Waterloo University, Canada, GR8 is called. Do you think that behind all these equations there is something that cannot be described by equations?
Very interesting.
He was puzzled, you know. Few years later, I think 2 or 3 years later, he returned back questioning who is putting fire in the equation.
In the equations.
Because my question was actually intending to ask how equations move.
Yes.
There should be a mover.
Yes.
That's why Aristotle was obliged to acknowledge the first mover. Acknowledge a first mover. But then he didn't tell us, Aristotle, how the next move is taking place.
Yes, because if the motion continues, it means that there is a law of motion also. And what makes the law continues to be effective?
There should be a driver.
Yeah.
What we call in quantum mechanics an operator.
Yeah.
Operator. Yeah. That's why you see now when we have we quantize time, by the way, and we have a new concept of time, quantum time. We find that there should be a driver for the time, otherwise it will stop. Yeah. As Kuchar, Professor Kuchar of Imperial College, posed the question to one of the big scientist, Page, is called Don Page, an
Mhm.
Australian guy who invented this quantization of time according to certain procedure, and he called it quantum time. He asked him the question: your clock, quantum clock, will stop,
Yeah.
will make one move.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
make the prime move,
But what
but
will make
you
it continue
the
moving?
other move. The
Yeah.
problem, how to
Yeah.
get the other move.
Because if time is quantized, it means it makes tick, 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 tick. So
Exactly.
with every tick, there is a stop. So it needs to reinitiate again and then reinitiate again.
It's very, 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 very deep scientific and philosophical implication. That's why when we returned back recently, I mean, let us talk a bit of science here.
Hmm.
In 1983, Don Page and William Wooter, they invented this mechanism. But then they found of quantum clock. Then
Mhm.
they found the quantum clock will stop. Kuchar,
Yeah. Yeah.
professor at Imperial College, showed that it will stop. He has to
Wow.
do something. Their research work, their results were ignored for about more than about 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
30 years. 30 years.
nearly more than 30 years, maybe. In 2015 and 16 and 17, 2015, 2017, the researchers started looking again at this. And when they revived, mind you, Ahmed, when
Hmm.
we revived, I contributed also recently to this work. When we
MashaAllah.
revived the clock, the quantum clock, we
Hmm.
found that all the
Hmm.
events of the universe, the past, present, and future, should
Hmm.
be in one block.
Ah,
As I
okay.
say in Arabic, every event is there. كله مقدر ومكتوب.
No. Subhanallah. Hmm.
And fortunately, this is
Hmm.
what the theory of general relativity have suggested long time ago.
Ah.
2015 already. Albert Einstein, when he proposed the general relativity, it implied that the universe contains the time in the universe is a whole formed
Yes.
of instances or moments or events, whatever you call it.
Yes.
And one event is past for you, but maybe for me it's a present.
Hmm.
Maybe for another observer. It depends on the observer. It could be future. So past, present, and future are there and now quantum time is adopting this idea. In fact, we have no alternative
Hmm.
until this moment but to say that the whole universe contains all the events. The question is, the events are like a film frame
Yeah.
in a movie.
Yeah.
No, a rail.
Yeah.
The reel of
Who is moving the machine? Who is
yeah.
moving?
Who is moving the machine? Who is all?
Yes.
There
Yes.
should be
Changing.
some
Changing from one instance to another
and
instance.
only this way that the new researchers, many great researchers contributed since 2015 until now,
Hmm.
very excellent research work, which shows that there should be a driven, some kind of driven time in this universe, and this time is the driving all the events.
Yeah.
But it has to be within the universe. I mean, we see events in the universe, but then they say, don't be surprised, Ahmed.
Hmm.
They say, and I can show you the papers,
Hmm.
for an external observer
Mhm.
outside the universe, obviously it cannot be physical.
Of course, because outside the universe.
Relativity
Yeah.
do not allow, relativity theory do not allow an external, but just for the sake of assumption, an external observer would see the whole universe static,
With all the moments in it.
will see the real, or
Mm.
the movie reel, will
Yes.
see all the moments,
Yes.
past,
SubhanAllah.
present, and future. And who is
Yes.
this?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
As he
Yeah.
said, subhanallah,
No.
without unintentionally, you would say subhanallah.
Yes. Immediately. Absolutely.
This is the
Look,
external observer.
the
We,
external.
the internal observer, we see things moving.
Yes.
But the
Doctor,
external and
Dr.
changing.
Bassem, some
changing.
some people might use this to say that everything is determined and we have no free will. What will be your comment in this case?
It is.
Too bad.
There is no free will in a block universe, and this is one of the well-known results of generativity, and quantum time will lead you the same thing. But mind you, as an internal observer,
Yes.
you actually have a free will.
Okay. How can you reconcile those 2 points
Why?
of view?
Because you don't know what the external observer is looking at.
Okay.
You don't have the knowledge of the external observer.
All right. So at each instant, you are making your own choice because you don't know what's coming. This is what you're saying.
You don't know what's coming. And you cannot say that the external observer is actually obliging you to do this or that. Therefore,
This is the whole trick. He is just seeing what you will do, but at this moment you have the choice to do it or not. Except that he knows that he will do it, does not oblige you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. A very important philosophical point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, do we have a question remaining in this philosophical dialogue? Yes. What is that? Who has made the movie real?
The real itself. Yeah.
Until now, science cannot tell you.
And how will science tell if it needs
cannot
somebody
find
outside the real to make the real?
You cannot
Obviously.
find. You can say that there is a hypothetical observer outside the real. You can, but you cannot, by the way, scientifically say some entity called God has invented this real. No. Scientifically.
But philosophically, you can.
You can religiously.
Yeah.
You can go philosophically.
Yeah.
To claim such a, or to put such a claim. You can. But scientifically, again, I say you cannot. So there is open question, as it will be always the case with science. There is an open question all the time.
Yeah. There is a limit to what science can actually examine and explain.
And here we can explain, as I said, causality.
Yeah.
We'll come to that in the next, actually.
Yeah.
I prefer to talk about it when I talk about determinism and indeterminism. But what problems can solve the recreation solve? Recreation principle can offer a convincing objective explanation of quantum mechanics. As you know, Ahmed, one of the big problems in philosophical problem is to negate objectivity. People thought that quantum mechanics, as it stands, the finest theory we have for the microscopic world is negating objectivity. This is not true, not correct. Recently, I have formulated this in a physical and mechanical mathematical proposal by assuming that the recreation actually happens at a rate proportional to the total energy of the system. And actually, this is not I mean, I'm not the first one to talk about this. It's de Broglie, the one who discovered the wave particle duality. De Broglie, the French.
The French scientist.
Said already that things are under continuous change, and that this an electron actually is changing. He gave an example at a very fast rate. Yes, that's
Yeah,
what.
amazing.
Yeah. So,
But in this case, the much bigger object will be changing in much
yes,
faster rates.
you are right. You are right.
Yeah.
As De Broglie already said, the total energy, or let us say the frequency, is the total energy divided by Planck constant, which means that for a high energy piece of matter like this iPhone, for example, or this table, it is a very, very fast change, while for an electron, which has the mass of 10 to the power minus 31 kg or minus 30 kg, it is much slower. That's why we see the quantum behavior in the microscopic world.
Okay.
Recreation interpretation of quantum mechanics, as I have formulated recently, can solve many paradoxes and problems. Among these is quantum tunneling, quantum Zeno effect, wave particle enigma, particle interference or diffraction. Also can explain the probabilistic nature of quantum phenomena. Why quantum phenomena is probabilistic?
Yeah.
There should
Because
be an explanation.
those are the big questions of modern physics. Actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This principle, recreation, can solve all these problems within an objective framework, without losing reality, without losing objectivity. Formulated as such, the recreation hypothesis offers a solution for the problem of quantum measurement. It's a very famous problem, quantum measurement in quantum mechanics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the matter of the collapse of the wave function, etc. Now, is your proposition that when a wave function collapses, it's actually somebody has taken a choice? It's not just a random event. Somebody has taken a choice. This,
yes,
in our theology, it will be Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. He has taken the choice.
This is the part which I will talk about when in the next episode.
Yeah.
When I talk about indeterminism, whether the world is deterministic or indeterministic.
Okay.
But mind you, recreation can lead you to uncertainty. It implies that there should be a minimum uncertainty in doing any measurements at all in the world. There should be a minimum uncertainty. Obviously, quantum mechanics, the standard quantum mechanics, explain this by saying that there is a role for the observer. The observer affects the observed. The observed. And this effect is reflected in some sort of uncertainty. I mean, in books, you have also what is called the gamma ray microscope or the Heisenberg gamma ray microscope. This Heisenberg uncertainty principle is derived in quantum mechanics. Adopting recreation will tell you that there should be uncertainty without telling you what is the quantity, unless you have to formulate the whole theory. So in a principle, the uncertainty is part of the natural change. In any change, there is an uncertainty. And according to philosophers of quantum mechanics, like, for example, Max Hammer, this is a great person.
Dr. Bassem, before we leave that, I'll ask you a question because it crossed my mind, and I have had actually some videos of mine talking about this. I'll send you some of them. If we consider the matter of the observer, can we actually consider that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the observer over everything. أَوَلَمْ يَكْفِ بِرَبِّكَ أَنَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. Because there is this issue like Schrödinger cat, when there is no observer, then there is the philosophical point that maybe nothing happens until an observer exists. But in our theology, there is one observer who is actually observing everything all the time, and he's actually also taking the decisions. Can this actually reconcile between the Copenhagen interpretation and what you are saying? Because there is always an observer in our point of view.
Yeah, this is possible from philosophical point of view, but scientifically, you cannot adopt, in my opinion, such and invoke the role of God in a scientific context. Science will stay as it is science, even if you adopt the recreation. As long as you are not saying God is recreating, you are okay. You can write, for example, y equals sine theta or sine x, a sine x. In that case, a, capital A, sine x, a will change from minus a to plus a, passing by the zero.
Yeah.
So it is changing, and at some point it is zero.
Yeah.
So it is changing. How fast? It depends on theta. If theta is omega t, and omega is very, very high, then
It's very
it
fast.
will change. I mean, this is the simplest in a scientific context. But you cannot say who is putting the fire into the equations
By science.
scientifically.
Yes.
You can say that when you wearing the hat of philosophy.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah.
Already.
I'm actually trying to answer the philosophical question. If nobody is looking at Schrödinger cat, will it die? And we know in our philosophical point of view that Allah is looking at the cat, so it will die. It does not wait until Schrödinger looks at it.
Obviously, Ahmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, even scientifically,
Yeah.
the Schrödinger cat was proposed. It was brought by the question.
Yeah.
If the cat in front of me and I measure everything, I know everything. What about if this cat is in a box and there is a poison, etc., etc., etc.? Would it be dead? Or Schrödinger was actually criticizing. He was making fun of the probabilistic description of quantum mechanics. He said, if there is a 50% chance of the poisonous material will be spread in the box while it is closed, and there is a 50% chance it's not going to be the poison will not go out, then there is a 50% chance that the cat is alive and a 50% chance the cat is dead. Which is correct?
Superposition, then it's dead and alive. And this.
What is the state? What is the state of the? Is it dead? It says yes, it is dead and alive and alive.
Superimposed.
He said.
It's ridiculous.
Schrödinger refused this. He said, "This is
absolutely
sad. I cannot accept such result."
Yeah.
By the way, Schrödinger refused many other things, including, for example, the quantum jump. When you say an electron in certain energy state jumps to the lower energy state, which is because of the discreteness of the energy levels in atoms.
Yeah.
He said, well, this is, I cannot accept it.
Yeah.
For about a few days, he was discussing this with Heisenberg and Niels Bohr.
Yeah.
In Copenhagen, he was guest with Niels Bohr, and he said, if this damn thing, which is called the quantum jump, will prove to be correct one day, I would regret it that my name was associated or attached to quantum mechanics.
Too bad.
You
Yeah.
know, he negated the whole quantum mechanics.
Yes, but
He is the
yeah,
one who has
who put the
written
formula?
the most fundamental equation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Absolutely.
can see how Heisenberg says the next day he fell ill.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Heisenberg, you can read it in Max Emer's book, The Philosophy of Quantum Mechanics. And he says Boo's wife was taking care of him while he had some apparently fever. And
Yeah.
I guess it was because of his distress. You know,
Yeah.
he was so much distressed.
Yeah.
What's this quantum jump?
Hmm.
Quantum jump is a fact.
Yeah.
But it is
Yeah.
his classical conception that couldn't accept it.
Yeah.
The point. Now,
Yes.
the recreation will provide you with the answer for the Schrodinger cat. The
Yeah.
Schrodinger cat is under continuous recreation.
Yeah.
So at one moment it is dead, one moment is live. No problem. Even without having the poisonous stuff, you know.
Without the poisonous material.
Even that, without that.
Okay. Yes, and you don't need an external and from the philosophical aspect, there
That's
is an observer all the time anyway.
that's
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the box is closed or not closed. There is an observer, so
It's
there is no
not the
problem.
observer which is making the cat dead or alive.
Yeah. Yes, it is the
Okay.
recreator who is making it.
It's the external creator,
Yeah.
external observer of the whole universe, or if you like, the sequence of events
Yeah.
in the universe.
Yeah.
The causal, what we call causal set.
Yeah. Great. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the
What else do we
presentation.
have? I
Yeah.
think yes.
Hmm.
So we restore the objectivity of quantum mechanics by this. The only metaphysical assumption, as I said, involves the new explanation, which is involved in the new explanation of recreation, is to say who is doing all this. Now,
Okay.
there are some physico-theological questions also.
Hmm.
The process of recreation explains in a physical approach the time development of the physical systems or physical world. And whether you believe in God or you are not a believer, you can adopt such a principle as a rational explanation for the
Yeah.
cause that is changing, for the cause that a change is taking place in the world.
Yeah. But
Also,
Dr. Basir, it's very difficult for an atheist to accept it, right? Because then
I
he will
don't
have
know
to
why. I don't
he
know
will have
why.
to because
I
he will
don't
have
know.
to resolve that there is a creator, and this is
Yeah,
very difficult for them.
it's only if he realized for an atheist that nature, the innate nature of things, has no effective or cannot affect a change itself. He would realize that. Always, by the way, Mr. Ahmed, always atheists have very strange things. For example, Lawrence Krauss, you can see it in his video about the existence of God. He said, I am ready to believe that a God exists if I wake up at night and see all the stars arranged to read, I am here.
Yeah.
He wants the stars to, so he wants mu'jiza, he wants miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. But the universe is a miracle every moment.
Why he
Yeah.
wants miracle? Why? Because natural scientists think that a universe ruled by God, sustained by God, is a miraculous universe, and this is not correct.
Yeah.
A universe ruled by God is a well-organized, highly organized, ruled through laws.
Yes.
سنة الله ولم تجد لسنة الله, fixed laws
Yeah. Tabdila. Yeah. Yes.
of
Absolutely.
nature. And you see, the recreation principle provides a novel answer to the why God keeps, as I said, the contact with things. How
Yeah.
it's not only how God sustains the world, how God contact things, not only
Yeah.
human beings, but anything,
Yes.
every atom in the world.
Yes. Subhanallah. ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد can be comes
Okay.
to the mind. Comes to the mind. Yeah.
Recreation of things establishes such a link
Yeah.
between God and between the creator and the created.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Subhanallah. Dr. Basil, when it back to the question that this scientist said, if the quantum clock just stops, what will happen to the universe? If there is no reason for the next tick to happen, what will happen?
It will be all static. We will not see any change. There will
Will
be
it
no change.
will it continue to exist if there is no change at all?
Not necessarily.
Hmm.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
I was once asked. There is one more point.
Hmm.
Can we say that the laws of nature stand for the power of God in the world?
Hmm.
My answer was no.
Hmm.
No, it's not the power of God. Laws of nature cannot be God or the power of God.
The
Even,
question, if they can replace God, this is the question.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
answer is that God validates working laws of nature, and that is through time.
Yeah.
Here we find the connection between the divine and the time, where in one sacred narration, Hadith Qudsi says, don't slur or abuse time
Hmm.
because God is the time.
No.
لا تسبوا الدهر فإن الله هو الدهر.
No.
I was a bit suspicious about the origin of this narration, but I found it in Sahih Muslim actually. لا تسبوا الدهر
No.
فإن الله هو الدهر.
No.
So this is, I mean, this is theological, but yeah. I think I will stop here, but we'll continue with the same subject. It's closely connected with the next principle, which is indeterminism.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, the hadith is actually also in Bukhari, and it says يؤذي ابن آدم يسب الدهر وأنا الدهر بيدي الأمر أقلب الليل والنهار.
exactly,
Yeah.
because it's a different text. I have, you're correct.
Yeah.
That was
So
a different.
so actually, the subtle here thing is أنا الدهر. I am time بيدي الأمر. Everything is in my hand. أقلب الليل والنهار. أقلب الليل والنهار. It is like I am moving time. I am the one who is moving time. So it goes
Exactly.
back to what you were saying about who is moving the clock, who is moving the reel, who is setting things in motion, who is putting the fire in the equation, who is making laws having its effect. If there is a first mover, what about all the next moves? So I think this hadith I have actually, subhanallah, I've actually had my thoughts about the hadith, and I'm so surprised that you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because when there are discussions with atheists about if everything has a beginning, why does that not apply to God? In my mind, I think of this. It is because God is the one who is moving time himself. He is time flows in his hand or something. بيدي الأمر. أنا الدهر بيدي الأمر. أقلب الليل والنهار. So it gives a complete different ontological perspective of time, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as completely external to the whole universe, including time, and he's the one who is moving the whole block in your expression. So it's actually very insightful of you really to
By
bring
the
this
way,
up. Yeah.
Scientifically and mathematically, the whole block, we put it psi capital. And we say this psi capital is a static kit representing the whole block.
The whole thing.
As seen from an external observer. Now, if you want to put the fire into equation, what do you do mathematically? You
Yeah.
take the scalar product of t, the time, scalar product with that big psi. That
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's
And
how you find the psi
yeah.
of t.
Yeah. So you find the projection of the whole block
Projection
on a
is
certain moment of time.
a projection. It is
Yes. Yes.
exactly.
Subhanallah. Yeah. Yeah. So
So
time.
the
So time.
driver, the
Yeah.
driver is the time.
Yes. Yes. Subhanallah. It's a wonderful vision, and so it's like a big hologram, and the instant of time is this point in the 3D
Good,
reel,
good.
let's
You
say,
are
or
good.
Subhanallah.
I was amazed during the last 2 months when I worked out this.
Yeah.
When I went into quantum time, and actually it's not 2 months, 6 months
Mhm.
until I finished this project of quantum time. It's
It's
something amazing.
it
I mean,
is.
the way, if you have the background
Yeah.
of the Islamic thought,
Yes. Yes.
without
Yes.
Islamic thought, you may not appreciate
No.
the exact implications
Absolutely.
of such a
And
beautiful,
I would
representation of the world.
I would like to add to ayat also, Dr. Basil, because you are tempting me to do that. The first one is in Surah Ar-Rahman. يسأله من في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شأن.
Exactly.
It just
This is
gives me the
another
idea of, every day there is something. And there was this question in the Athar, أمور يبديها ولا يبتديها. I'm not sure where exactly of the chain of this one, but this is like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making things appear. He is every day he's making things appear that he has predetermined, and he is making them appear in a certain sequence.
Yeah, we will talk about it
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the indeterminism.
Yeah.
And causality.
And the last one is about the sustainer. It just brings also to my mind إن الله يمسك السماوات والأرض أن تزولا ولئن زالتا إن أمسكهما من أحد من بعده. So it also raises to my mind this idea about Al-Qayyum, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who is keeping this. It's only creating it, he's also recreating it, and if he stops recreating it, it will just vanish.
It vanished.
So so it's subhanallah. It's also this has been a great episode, Dr. Basil, so thank you very much for it, and for everybody who has been following us. I'm sure that you might have many questions, so if you do, so please join us on the other side on the after show. If you have not seen the previous episodes, please do. You can check that out in the playlist, and also join us next week as we go into more of the 5 principles of Kalam. Dr. Basil, thanks a lot once again, and may God bless you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to everybody, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and peace be upon you all.